Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. That's the beauty of technology. It's always omnipresent, always available. We will be talking about Romeo and Juliet, Act 4. Pardon my post-it notes. You can tell I love my post-its. They're littered through this book. There's a plethora of them. Anyways, this is the version we'll be using and referring to in this presentation. So let's get into it. I'm Mr. Kraus, teacher here at Downey High School. If you stumbled on this video, I'll be talking specifically about Act 4 and who's to blame for the double suicide, the tragic ending to Romeo and Juliet's life and this tragedy of a play, this drama. Some beautiful ancient artwork here, some old artwork of Juliet on her bed, dead. This must be the friar. This person looks younger in this photo, so maybe it's Paris, the County Paris, who's hoping to wed Juliet today. That would be Thursday in Act 4. All right, let's get into some people who are available to blame. But before I do that, I'm not going to show you guys any quotes, but I do want to remind you of how to cite, how to record quotes from this play by William Shakespeare accurately. So you can find this quote in the version I have on page 80 at the very bottom and tipping over to scales to page 81 in the book version that I have of this play. Line 65, Juliet says, "Which the commission of thy years and art could to no issue of true honor bring." So I have quoted two lines. I show the lines break right here with a slash. Please keep that going. Then I'm going to cite the title, the act, the scene, and then the line numbers. Notice there's a space between act and scene. The other thing you might have just noticed is the title changed. The title of the play, it's a long work of art, so it should be in italics. And don't forget that pesky period at the very end. All right, without any further ado and review on some cool art, some of the first people you might blame in Act 4 could definitely be Father Capulet. There's going to be some evidence there. And Juliet, of course, along with the ever-present friar as we head towards the end of this lamentable play. All right, line 9, the Lord Capulet is in total control of what Juliet's supposed to be doing. And you might say that isn't the best strategy for parenting. I do love the expression tyrant. Pardon the interruption. So he's behaving tyrannically, and you can see that in Paris's lines here. Now, sir, he's addressing Friar Lawrence at Friar Lawrence's cell or in Friar Lawrence's church. Her father counts it dangerous that she, and in his wisdom, hastes our marriage. So why does he want to hurry up the marriage? To stop her constant and pushy or downward push depression of her tears. So the father is in control. So that's an interesting line. Paris is at the church, and if you remember the end of Act 3, Juliet says to the nurse, "Oh, thou hast comforted me marvelous much. Tell my father I've gone to my ghostly father to confess my sins." She's really going to her ghostly father to find out if there's any last chance hope, any sort of proverbial cliche to say, Hail Mary, if you will, pun intended. And so Juliet bumps into Paris. Dun, dun, dun. But she obviously could be blamed here. She never tells Paris no. She could have, but she doesn't. All right, let's jump over. I believe this is the next page. The friar likewise shows some culpability or shows some responsibility for the tragic direction this play continues to move towards, and that's because he doesn't stop Paris either. So that's really important to know. In fact, right here in line 37, Juliet actually stops the conversation with Paris, and so that definitely shows that the friar is in no way, shape, or form trying to speak the truth about what's going on or to stop this wedding. So again, you could blame the friar because Juliet is at a loss here, and the friar never stops the idea, the advancement of this wedding on the very next day, Thursday. So it's Wednesday. Juliet also, in talking to Paris, in talking to Friar Lawrence, she again acts crazily. She threatens to kill herself down here in the bottom. It's pretty remarkable what she said. Line 62, she says, "Give me some present counsel. Advise me, Friar Lawrence. Help me out. Or, behold, look, twixt my extremes and me this bloody knife shall play the umpire, arbitrating that which thy commission of thy years in art could to no issue of true honor bring." In other words, I'm going to boom, right? So she threatens to kill herself. She's behaving crazy or not thinking her way through it. All right. So Juliet's acting unwisely. Let's keep going. We're on to the next page. We're still in scene 1 of Act 4. The friar comes up with the plan. And here he says at the top, he says, "I do spy a kind of hope, but it's crazy. It's a long shot. I have a quote-unquote Hail Mary." And then down here towards the bottom, he explains the plan, or he comes up with the actual plan. And basically he wants to give her potion to fake her death. And so he says her, "Drink this distilled liquor, and when presently through all your veins shall run a cold and drowsy humor, no pulse shall keep its native progress." So it's going to look like there's no pulse, no da-da-da-da, right? Without Romeo, there is no pulse, there is no iambic pentameter, there is no sonnets. She will actually look Polly ashes, the rose in her lips and cheeks will fade, so each part deprived of supple government shall stiffen stark and cold appear like death. So he's going to give her this potion. Here's his plan. She's going to sleep alone in her room. And again, that's all the friar's plan. So that's pretty wild. That's pretty crazy. Faking your death. We've never seen that in the movies before. On the next page, Juliet shows no fear. She doesn't question this crazy plan. The friar could be poisoning her and just kill her. And then, boom, that problem, his involvement in it anyway, is over. He continues to build on this plan, though, if you want to continue to blame the friar. "Get you gone, be strong and prosperous. I'll send a friar with speed to Mantua with my letters to thy lord." Which, in other words, he's saying, I'll send a letter to Romeo and tell him of our, shall we call it, Hail Mary of a plan. So those are the lines right there to blame the friar. Moving right along, Juliet comes home from this crazy plan, scenario and situation, session that she has with the friar, Friar Lawrence, and she walks right into her father and says, "I have repented my ways. The friar has told me that I am to get ready to be married, and that is most wise." And so Juliet flat out lies to her dad, Lord Capulet. And this is where she says all that. Lord Cap is too excited, too ignorant to his daughter's wishes. So Lord Capulet, right, how he says all these things, and he says, this is how you know he's too excited, and has no idea that his daughter is completely crushed under the weight of this arranged marriage. He says, "Go thou to Juliet." He's talking to his wife. "Go you to Juliet, help to deck her up, help to get her ready and all the clothing and all that for her wedding and wedding night. I'll not to bed tonight. Let me alone." In other words, he's excited. He's going to take care of all the running about for this wedding. That's Thursday. This is Wednesday night. So Lady Cap does actually go to Juliet, and they have this really, most movies, most plays that I see do this, have a real moment here where Juliet almost tells her mom, and it's the exit Lady Cap and the nurse, and Juliet might be saying this to her mom as she leaves. "Farewell, God knows when we shall meet again." Those are the kind of lines that sort of make my blood curdle and trip me out or freak me out, because it's as if she's saying goodbye forever, which she is. That's the dramatic irony of that moment. Moving right along, we're on page 88. We're now in Act 5, Scene 5, so we're actually already to the end of Act 4, excuse me. We're almost to the end of Act 4. So the friar comes over the next day, and of course, everyone is discovering that Juliet is dead, quote-unquote dead. She took the potion, and it allows her to fake her death. Again, no pulse, no government, so your joints will get stiff, no rose in your cheeks or your lips, so it'll look like you're dead. for, I forget how long he says, but 2 and 40 hours or something like that. So it's 48 hours. The friar lies when he shows up. What does he lie about? He lies to Lord Cap and says, this is the way it is. It's real sad here. Cap says, death had taken her, and hence my will. Lady Cap says, alack the day, and Lady Cap says, I will die with thee. So there is some love from Lady Cap and Lord Capulet. It's just not maybe shown the best, but forgive that little side journey or bird walk. Again, the friar shows up to this scene. He knows exactly what's going on, and he says, you know, this is as it should be. She was never yours for this world for very long. He never says she's not dead. He never tells the parents she's still alive. It's really kind of a sad thing, but good reason to blame the friar. Believe it or not, that concludes the blame session. The subsequent pages have Peter, that servant, that's the servant to the nurse at one point earlier in the play. He ends up singing a song, and it's not a song of joy, but it's a song of tragedy and woe for Juliet, who they all think is dead. All right, guys, that's your Act 4. Make sure you have 4 quotes for this one. Make sure you have 4 quotes for this one. Thank you.